This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
This is Creepy Soup on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Hi! Welcome to episode 145 of Creepy Soup, brought to you by the PFC Entertainment Network.
Told you we'd be back.
Yeah, we recorded earlier this morning. There was a wardrobe change. Kinda.
For me.
I didn't say it was both of us. Anyway, so like in the previous episode, we're going to get down to the email and merch stuff. So if you have any true crime, creepy stories, or paranormal, or just something weird that you think, I don't know, so email us at creepysouppodcast@gmail.com, and that's creepy with a K. yeah, we've been awake all day. So yeah, creepysouppodcast@gmail.com. If you would like some of our merch, and I know there's hats, hoodies with our face on them, other t-shirts. I think there's a couple tank tops. Yep, that would be pfccreepysoup.printify.me. If you like the other PFC shows, that would be pfcstore.printify.me. And the cool ass summer shit like bathing suits, hats, beach towels, yard flags. There is a really cool framed Creepy Soup picture that eventually will be hanging up here. I promise. That will be hanging up. And you can find the summer stuff at pfcsummer.printify.me. Whew! I made it through. Also, if you're watching, you're either watching this or listening through Spotify, iHeart, don't know where else. Sorry, Jason handles the RSS feed. I handle the YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe, share.
A lot.
Yeah, so on that note, this is probably the first time that we've seen each other this much in between recording.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, we've got not really a whole hell of a lot to talk about. We be on the lookout. We're working on some stuffs. So be on the lookout for some announcements soon. Fingers crossed. I will say, like this past week, well, by the time you're watching this, it'll be last week, with the birthdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the birthdays, because we had Buddy on Friday, Aubrey on Sunday, in Jackson on Wednesday.
Yep.
That's 3 in 5 days. 5 days. And so to celebrate 3 birthdays, I made a nice family dinner. Which I want that salad again. That was good. Yeah, I made a spaghetti casserole.
Oh my god.
Garlic bread. And chicken Caesar salad. And it was really fucking good. And you said that was your first time having Caesar dressing? Yeah, it's good.
But that Panera shit you got. Ugh.
Oh, you don't like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Don't ever get it again.
Okay.
It was not worth the money you spent.
I don't even know what I spent. We just needed dressing, and that was like the one that popped up on top. And I'm like, well, it's got to be good because it popped up first. So,
It's not.
well, I'll know better next time.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's about it. I worked hard today. Yeah.
I worked hard at staying up, but now all I want to do is go to bed.
Yeah. So, well, let's trauma bond and get this done.
Okay, so I cannot remember when I watched. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have ever watched the show Disappeared, but obviously, as you know, we are very into crime and
Really?
missing. No, I wouldn't have guessed. And people going missing and things like that. I wouldn't have guessed, right? The one episode that I watched on Disappeared, it was called Into the Night, and it really stuck with me for a long time. And then just out of the blue, I randomly was, I wonder how that case is going. And there's been a lot of updates. This is the case of Zoe Compos. My source is haveyouseenus.com. And obviously the Disappeared episode, which got me very interested in the case, was season 8. I'm not sure on the episode number, but it was called Into the Night.
I can find out for you.
Would you?
Yeah. Season 8.
Yes, season 8. That's what it said. So it started out November 17th. It started out like any other day for the family. It was filled with love, laughter, making memories, going to dinner, and then settling in for a movie. And all this happened in Lubbock, Texas. Zoe and her sister sat on the couch watching a movie. Episode 6. Mind you, a lot of this is put into my own words. Took me a lot to
because words are hard.
organize and fix things and whatnot. It was a fun-filled day with the family. Zoe's sister Savannah has 2 children at this point, who Zoe would babysit on a regular basis while her sister was at work.
What year was this?
2013.
Okay. I missed that the first time. Looking stuff up.
So she treated her niece and nephew like they were her own children. But around 11:30 on November 17th, Zoe's sister Savannah went up to bed, said, "Good night, I love you," because at that point she had to go to bed for work in the morning, and Zoe was supposed to watch the children. At 2:30 in the morning, on the 18th, Zoe had texted her mother, Melinda, letting her know that she was going to be on the way to come get her, because
I love that name.
Melinda.
Yes.
let her mom know that she was going to be on her way to pick her up, because at that time Melinda's car was in the shop. So Zoe was her ride, essentially. Melinda worked at East 34th Street Bar, which isn't far from, I guess, Savannah, Melinda, and Zoe, they all lived together. So it wasn't very far from their house. She didn't have very far to travel. Zoe's mom, Melinda, waited and waited, and Zoe ended up never showing up. All of Melinda's calls went unanswered and eventually would go straight to voicemail.
Well, I'd freak the fuck out.
Like her phone had shut off.
Yeah, I'd freak out.
Right. So Melinda's next step was to see if maybe like she stopped by a family member's house or one of her friends, which, from what I heard, her circle is very small. So, because she was very family oriented. And I guess nobody at that point had seen or heard from her. Which, at that point, Melinda, she said that, she started to fill up with fear and anxiety and just felt very scared for what was going on with Zoe at that point, but also probably scared for herself, because she don't know where her daughter is at this point. And
yeah.
Zoe is 18 at this time.
Yeah, I'd be freaking out as a mom.
Yeah.
Shit, you're the age you are, and I'd freak out if...
Yeah. Well, I guess, at that point, LPD pretty much was, she's 18, so she took off all on her own.
Yeah.
So, pretty much sit and wait. So they didn't really take it seriously until a couple days later, when they finally was willing to accept the police report to report her missing. But, on the night, so, in between initially she went missing on the 18th.
Okay.
So, on November 18th is when she initially was not seen or heard from again. And then, police wasn't taking it seriously, so essentially the family would go out and search Lubbock all on their own to look for her. Well, it just so happens that on the night of November 21st, Melinda's sister, Zoe's aunt, was just driving around town, cruising, searching on her own, and Melinda's sister was going this way. It just so happens that Zoe's car that's been missing was coming this way.
Ooh,
the opposite way.
Okay.
So, I guess she had called her sister to pretty much... What's the word I'm looking for? Confirm about some damage done to the car.
Okay.
Which
did it have this on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
yep.
Melinda did end up saying, that she did have damage to the front end of her car. So the aunt hurried up and did an illegal UE. And
I may have done one of those tonight for a train.
and then she got behind Zoe's car, but on the opposite lane, so that way when they got to the stoplight, both of them, she was able to look inside the car, and she was Zoe's very small, petite, tiny little 18-year-old, and what she saw driving the vehicle was a man in a black hoodie. Definitely not her niece.
No.
No. So, she kept following him and got up.
That's brave.
Yeah. But it wasn't she didn't make it obvious.
Right.
But she had gotten on the phone with her son to tell him, hey, this is what's going on, I'm following him. Pretty much, can you come to my location so we can, figure this out? So Zoe's aunt kept trailing the unknown driver until he had pulled into Driftwood Apartments.
Okay.
With,
Like an apartment complex?
Yes.
Okay.
By the time she pulled in herself and was able to physically locate Zoe's car that was missing, it was abandoned. The person had already jumped ship, couldn't find anybody anywhere, it was quiet. Normal 18-year-olds, you know, they're always going to have their phone on them, always charged, you know, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
But, LPD had arrived, did a search on the car, found the jacket that she had left home with in the trunk, and her car charger, not her car charger, but her phone charger,
Cool.
in the back seat. Now, most people...
Plugged in.
It would either be plugged in or it wouldn't be in the vehicle because it'd be with them because they'd be charging their phone.
Right.
At that point in time, the LPD believed that she took off until the aunt had stated that she physically saw an unknown male driving the car. And Zoe was the type of person that you are not allowed to drive my car. No.
Right, yeah.
So she would never allow some random person driving her car. And then at this point, with her being missing for an X amount of days, it definitely did not.
Yeah, because by
right.
this point it's 3 days, right?
18th, last seen on the 18th, 18th, 19th, 20th. Yep, 3 days. Yep.
Okay.
At this point, family members have chosen to use social media to raise awareness and spreading out the word, hoping that even somebody that they're friends with on Facebook could have seen her,
right,
or remember seeing her somewhere.
I think that's kind of where, like, the power of social media is good.
Yes.
To spread the word for something like that.
Yes.
To make people aware that, hey, this girl's missing. Kind of look out for her.
Yeah. Melinda ended up, during this whole situation, had to somehow find a way to get in contact with Zoe's dad, who was a Marine, and at that point in time was stationed in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So it was a lot of how you're able to, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But she had to put some work in to get a hold of him, and he ended up being able to get leave to be on it so he could come home and be with his family during this process. Zoe's family and friends had gathered for hours and hours, probably even days, in a parking lot, passing out flyers, hoping and praying someone will come forward with her whereabouts, just to even get her name and face out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they really wanted to bring her home. After filing a police report, Zoe's mother was essentially told, wait it out, hinting that Zoe probably took off on her own, and Melinda flat out told him, if you knew her like we knew her, this isn't her. It's not like her.
And that's something you hear a lot in missing person cases where the police are like, they're this age, they probably just got away.
It's like age shouldn't matter. And for them to sit there and assume because they just don't want to do the job
right
at that point in time, you're wasting precious time trying to decipher if they ran away or if they're actually missing, when if the family's telling you they're missing, they're missing. Because,
yeah.
Who would know that person better than their family? Yeah,
and like I said, you do hear that a lot in missing person cases where the family said, hey, they said, they're 18, they're probably out partying or blowing off steam or getting laid, whatever.
Right.
But the family is saying no.
Like, I know my daughter. I know my sister
Right.
better than that. Like, that is not her.
Like with the Eric Lee Franks case, they were like, he's an adult. And the mom's like, he contacted me very regularly, and now I'm not hearing from him at all.
Whether it's a kid, teenager, an adult, it shouldn't fucking matter.
Nope.
Like, a family member is gonna know that person way better than an officer. Take my fucking report, dude. Like, it's not that hard.
Right.
Like, you're wasting precious time when you could be out there looking and saving.
Exactly.
Versus, oh, you wasted all this time. Now I'm getting this notification that, oh, so-and-so's dead. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for not doing your fucking job.
Right.
You know, and it's ridiculous.
It is.
Savannah, which is Zoe's older sister, also pretty much said the same thing. How she always kept in contact, and it's weird that her phone is off and for this long. And any 18-year-old is always going to make sure they have a charger.
Yeah.
Even me, I'm my age, and I don't go anywhere without my charger.
I'm 51, and I have a charger that goes everywhere with me because my phone is very picky and will only use that cord.
Yes.
So,
Savannah also stated that it's weird Zoe hasn't come back home. This isn't like my sister at all. Because she lived for her niece and nephew.
right.
Those were like her kids too, and she would not come home for them.
Yeah.
So, that also should have raised red flags.
Yeah.
But it still took them almost 72 hours before they took the case and did a missing persons report.
I will say now a lot of police departments don't make people wait now that 48 hours because they do realize that it is precious time. So a lot of them, if someone's missing,
Right, and it's like, I'd rather you take my report and look and prove me wrong
right,
than you having to come to my house and tell me horrible news.
right.
You know?
I look at it this way. You know what? Let me make the report. You look. You find her. She's safe. I'll fucking pay for your time. I don't give a shit. I just want my kid okay.
Right.
That's just me, though.
No, I think that would be any parent, to be honest. So on the morning of December 2nd, LPD had held a press conference pertaining to Zoe Compos missing. Sergeant Chris, I'm just gonna say Sergeant Chris because his last name's a little choppy.
Okay.
Stated that past behavior may have put her in harm's way due to lack of communication and information obtained. We believe Zoe is in danger and listed her as missing and endangered. He also said since her disappearance, there has been no activity on her Facebook or her cell phone. Hello, 18. I'm always going to be posting shit on Facebook and being on my phone. So that should be red flag.
That's a true statement from her. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He asked the public that if they have any information to speak with police instead of posting on social media due to wanting to avoid a false frenzy.
That makes sense.
Or spread rumors or spread false information.
That does make sense.
Or even telling the truth even and having it pass through other people's eyes and things get misconstrued in. So he had asked the public if they know anything to just come straight to the police and tell them straight, so there wasn't any in-betweens. Melinda, Zoe's mother, had stated she doesn't know what behavior the police were referring to. Zoe hardly ever did anything or would go anywhere. So she don't know where this dangerous behavior came from, where they got that from.
At that point, do you know if they interviewed any friends she had? Maybe some friends said, like...
They had interviewed a lot of people. They only had, like, because of where her phone last pinged, they did have a specific person of interest.
Okay.
And in all honesty, if they would have done the investigation better, it wouldn't have taken as long as it did.
Yeah.
Melinda had stated that Zoe was very responsible. She always was in contact, letting people know where she was from point A to point B. Her social life only included a few friends, her mother, her sister, and of course her niece and nephew. And then during the press conference, the LPD offered $1,000 as a reward for information that leads to locating
It's like
her.
Crime Stoppers kind of thing? Okay.
Now, mind you, the one person of interest they had, where her phone last pinged, not to mention, before she left, Zoe had made a comment to her sister that at some point she was probably going to go hang out with this person.
Okay.
Whom she had just met that day, because between having a family fun-filled day and doing dinner, she had went to her friend's house who had just had a baby, and that's where she had met this person.
Okay.
In 2013, if you remember correctly, that was when the whole synthetic marijuana was all big and bad.
Mm-hmm.
I know one person that had smoked it before, and they had said that it didn't make them, like, hallucinate or anything. It just made them really, really sick. They never touched it again. And Mike said the same thing.
Okay.
So, the case, the detective, the video I watched, said that he didn't want to claim it as a cold case, just a case that was still open.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2017, this so-called person of interest was actually arrested on a different case. This person was stalking an ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
And he was arrested literally the same 4 years, the same month that Zoe had disappeared.
Okay.
And I don't know why he would indicate himself or what, but apparently he was essentially gloating about, oh, well, I got away with murder, I'll get away with this too. And he was gloating to his cellmate at the time about what transpired. This person of interest, they had already searched his yard.
What?
I don't know, I don't know.
I'm just watching you through the screen.
Okay, they already searched his yard.
'Cause I don't want to turn around, my neck hurts.
His yard supposedly came up empty, but I guess he gloated about, I got away with it essentially because they already searched my yard, but they won't find her until they move the concrete. So I guess, I don't know what made this cellmate go to law enforcement, because he probably really didn't have anything to gain from it.
Sometimes they'll shave some time off of their sentence.
But this cellmate of the person of interest pretty much snitched. I don't know if maybe because this guy, he had just met her that night that she went missing, so he doesn't know people she knows. So for all anybody knows, that cellmate he was gloating to could have been a family or family member or
Right.
friend.
Right.
And he's like, oh, hell no. And stitched on him, which I would totally do. And I guess, because jail phone calls are recorded, pretty much was telling somebody on the other end that he said something to somebody and they stitched on him. So, literally 5 years to the day, they finally put a murder arrest warrant out. Even though he was still in jail, they put an arrest warrant out for his arrest to be rearrested for the murder of Zoe Compos. He stated, I guess he ended up fessing up, and essentially, I guess they met up at his house. They smoked this synthetic marijuana, and which obviously everybody is different, but the people that I've talked to that have smoked it have never once said anything about hallucinating or anything like that. The only way it would have happened is if it was laced with something.
Okay.
Otherwise, it just makes you really, really sick. But if two people smoke the exact same batch, you would think both of them would have like a horrible trip, right?
I mean, maybe. Like you said, everybody's different.
Everybody's different, but you would think they would have some sort of
matching experience.
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was he claims it was a bad trip, and her face was melting. He just really freaked out. But let me look up his exact...
they're definitely... I mean, I know nothing about synthetic marijuana. I'm not gonna lie, I know nothing about it.
I've never smoked it, never thought of smoking
so I don't know if... I don't know what it does. But, yeah, if it's... That almost sounds more like an LSD or mushroom trip.
Honest.
And I don't...
But
I'm not even stating that as fact because I know nothing about those either. So...
But, essentially he had a very bad trip, and he wrote a letter to a news station down in Lubbock, Texas. He had stated that him and Zoe had both agreed to meet up at his house. He claims that they hit it off, and there was apparently sexual relations, and then they did drugs. Especially the synthetic marijuana. Which, I don't think that's what happened. But that's just my opinion. He wrote the following: I started to lose, and this is a quote from Carlos Rodriguez, who essentially confessed to being the one that killed Zoe Compos. He said, I started to lose track of time and spacing out. She kept saying things, and I could hear her laughing, but my mind was somewhere else. When I turned to face her, her face looked different. She looked very weird in an evil way, and I started to panic, but I couldn't move. I wanted to tell her, but I didn't want to sound weak or embarrassed. So I started to sweat a lot, and I could feel my heart pounding so hard in my chest that I couldn't speak or swallow because of this huge knot in my throat. Zoe kept grinning and asking me if I was okay, but I was certain I was dying. That's when I started to get lightheaded and my vision started to black out. Then Zoe said, "You're fucking tripping." And when she opened her mouth to laugh, her face started to melt, and that's when I struck her. So he hauled off and hit her.
Good Lord.
She got up, and I heard what you would say was a demonic scream. Which, okay, yeah, if you hit her, she probably cried a little, depending on how hard you hit her.
Right.
But
Maybe she could have been screaming for help.
right. I remember her running to the door, so I grabbed what appeared to be a demon from behind. And pretty much put her in a rear chokehold. And then he said, I don't know how long I was choking her, but when I let go, I started to come back and started to realize what had happened, and my whole world started to crumble. And then it says here that Rodriguez went on to say that he does not wish to be labeled as a murderer, but he was 20 years old at the time, a 20-year-old kid who made a mistake because of synthetic marijuana.
Well, that mistake, though, was murder.
Still murder, no matter how you look at it.
Right.
I personally think, because if what Melinda and Savannah said was true, she was very responsible and very family-oriented. I think what happened was she went over there to smoke, which every 18-year-old would probably do, because it's normal, and he wanted to lead other places, and she refused, and that's when he hit her, because she texted her mom that she was about to be on her way. So she probably wanted to use having to pick up her mom as an excuse to leave, because she was made to feel uncomfortable.
Probably.
And he probably made advances towards her, and she kept refusing, and it pissed him off. And he wanted to use tripping on a synthetic drug to hide that fact.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened, is my opinion. And to be honest, unless it was laced with something, it's going to make you sick. From everybody I've heard it from. So, and again, everybody's different, but if one person's going to have a trip like that, 9 times out of 10, the other person's going to have some similarities.
Right, right.
To some extent. Not, one's going to be completely normal, the other one's going to be tripping the fuck out, like they just lost their fucking mind.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds like something, again, I don't know anything about synthetic marijuana or many other drugs. I know regular marijuana, but I don't know anything about that. So I don't know if it causes hallucinations. I don't know if it was laced with something. Or maybe he also took something with it.
Maybe. But I don't know. I just feel like I think he used that as a way to cover up the fact that he
just
probably assaulted her.
Yeah.
And killed her to shut her up.
Oh, my skin is so dry.
So, I think he's using the marijuana as a cover.
Yeah.
Because you don't just bury her one place and then several months later.
Now, did they find her remains? Okay.
Under concrete.
Okay.
Yep. He stated flat out he put her in a shallow grave in his yard, and then several months later buried her over a little deeper, but above a gas pipe, pretty much essentially to, because they were using,
stop anyone from digging in that spot.
They were using canine and cadaver dogs, and the gas can pretty much like mask the scent, plus put concrete over her. So that's what happened.
Well, I mean, it's sad, but at least her family got a little bit of closure, and I'm sure laid her to rest.
Yeah.
So at least her family has that. I mean, it's a shitty end.
It really is. And, went snooping. And, I went on Zoe's sister's Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
She has the niece and nephew that Zoe helped raise is growing up. I think one just got into high school or just graduated.
Oh, wow.
Her sister also just recently had a baby.
The same sister?
Yes.
Okay.
She only has one sister.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, she has a new nephew. And obviously at this point, you know, before she died, her parents were split up. Her mom has gotten a new man. They all seem happy. It's the same Facebooks that they've had since before she went missing.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll tag her and all the special things that they do.
Aw.
So she's still very much a part of their daily lives. I mean, shit, there's even a picture of her nephew while they were passing out flyers wearing a shirt with Zoe's missing photo on it.
Aww.
Yeah. It's really sad, but they still, you know, include her in their daily lives. Definitely tag her in their special moments. It still doesn't take that pain away.
No, God, no.
Especially, it should not have ever taken 5 years for that to happen.
No.
Like, he was a person of interest right out the gate. Like, from the cell phone ping to Savannah flat out saying she told me she was meeting up with this Carlos Rodriguez. Look harder. They looked at his house. Mind you, the house he lived in is rental. He doesn't even own the house. So they went into the rental. They used the luminol and all that. There was no sign of blood throughout the whole house. But it's like, even just a smack might not cause any blood spatter or any blood anywhere.
Right.
And if she died the way he claims that he killed her,
by choking
there's
her
not going to be any blood.
Right.
So they were wrong there. And it's like...
Well, not that they were wrong. They just didn't know them.
But that's the thing, though. They only picked certain places in the yard to look. Like, they didn't search the entire yard at this point.
Mm.
They essentially waited until they got the information from his old cellmate.
Okay.
Before they actually got the real location. And the only reason why they got him to confess is they used a little white lie to get him to either fess up, but as soon as somebody lawyers up, you automatically know they're guilty of something.
Yeah.
They found a bone in this guy's yard. And it was proven to be animal, but they failed to tell Carlos that. So as soon as...
He fell for it because he's stupid.
He's stupid. All they had to do was show him an evidence bag with a bone in it, and he immediately fucking lawyered up.
Yeah. Yeah, because probably by that point, he probably thought, they caught me.
Right.
They caught the tater. Sorry.
So eventually he confessed, stating that she agreed to come to the house and they had sexual relations and did drugs.
Right.
I believe what happened was they smoked.
Or at least he did.
Because it's not a secret. Her sister knew, her mother knew that she dabbled in some weeds. Which any normal 18-year-old boy or girl does. It's normal. And again, I wholeheartedly believe that
He was trying to get some.
he made advances and she kept turning him down. And that's when it escalated. And I think he's only admitting to some sort of sexual contact because I think what happened was, I don't think he just put her in a chokehold right away. I think he raped her. But after being in the ground for 5 years, they're not going to be able to tell that.
Right, no. They're, at that, I mean, there's a lot they can still tell, but I imagine, like, decomp would make that a little difficult.
Well, after 5 years and, the weather, and plus being moved, because he admitted that he moved her.
Oh, God.
I don't, several months. So, that decomp was deep comping. So.
Yeah, that had to be.
But it's like, okay, you married her, but this was before he buried her the second time over a gas pipe. So it's like, okay, so anybody just walking by just thinks it's a dead animal, knowing that there's a whole 18-year-old girl missing around here. Nobody caught the fuck on.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm if I smell something vile, my ass is calling. I don't care.
yeah, I don't know.
And the fact that he. I guess during the process of moving her ankle bone, her ankle and her foot came off.
Ugh.
Threw it in the dumpster.
What the fuck?
Threw it in the dumpster.
Nope. Don't like that. That was my Michael Scott impression for the day. Don't like that.
And then persisted on burying her above a gas pipe. Obviously buried her completely and then put a concrete slab on top of her.
That's so awful. On many
And
levels.
it's like, and the worst part about it, it was on 70th Street and something. And the parking lot that the family and friends and everybody that were standing in was on 70th Street. And L. 70th and L.
Oh my God, they were right there and didn't know it.
They didn't know where this guy lived exactly, but like on Melinda and Savannah's way to work would pass that house. Pretty much daily.
Oh my God.
Not knowing that their daughter and their sister is buried in that yard.
They were that close.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Because his house was pretty much smack dab in the middle of her apartment and where Melinda works.
That's awful. That not a good story, but thank you. That was...
Yeah. You can ask her, I was always, like, very passionate about this case.
Yeah, you've brought it up several times.
Yeah.
Actually, even before you came on, you talked to me about covering it. Right around the same time I did the Eric Lee Franks episode.
Yeah.
And shit, that's been a couple of years now.
Right, and it also, I think another reason why it took so long, yeah, Carlos was a person of interest, but they were also going the whole, being sold into sex slavery.
Yeah, trafficking.
At the same time, and it's like, I really thought about it, and it's like, which is worse? Like,
you know what? That's a hard one to say. I mean, would I rather be dead or...
No, just for the family itself, like, okay, which is the worst case scenario? Her still being alive, but having to have sex with everybody.
See, that's where I mean, I guess at
Or
least with that,
dead.
there's a chance of getting her back. Maybe not mentally
Right.
back, but,
Yeah.
you know.
And it's like,
So yeah, that's a hard one.
it is. It's a hard, which is the worst case scenario. But it's like,
I mean, I think worst case scenario would be dead.
right, but it's like, because 5 years had passed, even an autopsy, they couldn't even really do an autopsy. They just had to go by what Carlos said.
Right.
And they had to wait and do a DNA test before they could actually confirm or deny it was even her.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, riddle me this. They have a whole ass description of what she was wearing that night. Were the clothes with her? Or were they not with her? Because usually clothes can be a clear identification, correct? So if they had to wait until DNA, because they didn't say that they only identified her through DNA. If it was her, she's buried with her clothes, they would have been able to ID her just solely off the clothes. Still run the DNA, correct?
Right.
Which leads me to believe she was buried without her clothes. Which also indicates that I could potentially be right with the whole he raped her and used synthetic marijuana to cover that up.
Very, very, yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Which, in all honesty, I mean, he'd be getting less time to as a rapist than a murderer.
Yeah. Mm.
But it's like, and that's another thing. How much did she suffer before she actually died?
Mm.
Did he just really choke her out and she just felt the life being sucked out of her and that's it? Or did she really go through it before he just killed her?
Mm.
And that's
as the mom, I don't even want to think about that.
Right. So it's like, is he really just being really that forthcoming and that honest?
Probably not.
So it's like, I really think he's lying and hiding certain things that happen.
Yeah, I think he probably told some of the truth, but definitely not all of it.
Yeah, I believe that they probably smoked. I believe that. Because normal 18-year-old would smoke.
Mm-hmm.
As would a 20-year-old. But I'm sorry, unless it was lace or something, and sorry, they'd have just about the same reaction.
Possibly. I don't know. Again, I don't know a lot about that. Like, can you build up a tolerance for...
Maybe if you smoked all day, every day. But it's like, it's synthetic. It really couldn't have been that great.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it.
That's my opinion. I feel like he's using that as a way of hiding the fact that he's
a dirty motherfucker.
He raped her and buried her. That's my thought.
Sorry, I just want to look and see my battery. Okay.
It could have went the way he said it did, or it could have went a completely different way.
Yeah.
Either way, he claims he doesn't want to be labeled a murderer, just a 20-year-old that made a bad decision.
No, he's a 20-year-old murderer that made a bad decision.
And you came to right after she died?
Yeah.
Boy, bye. Fuck out of here with that shit. Right after?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. That makes... No.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that one.
Yeah, no problem.
You did good. Did good.
Thanks. Thanks, man.
So, on that note, we're both tired. I got to wash my face. Look, so, as you can see, our camera is not...
Camera-ing, right?
And I kind of like the filter it gives. This was morning
Staring
makeup.
at it too long gives me a headache.
Yeah, this was morning makeup, and you can't even tell.
What makeup?
It's there. It's there. I know it's there. You can't see it's there. It just looks like I have a cool ass filter on. Okay. Anywho. Thank you for that. Anything important coming up for you besides lots of work, crazy work schedule coming up?
Other than that, no.
Yeah,
Can't say.
Same right now. It's just adulting. That's it. Just adulting.
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah. So I hope everyone is having a great what?
Huh?
Oh,
a bitch can't breathe?
Well, it looked like you were gonna say something.
No.
Fucking feral ass child.
Feral ass mother?
Okay. So yeah,
Where did you get it from?
Hope everyone's having a great week.
Memorial Day's coming up,
Yeah.
so I hope everybody has an incredible Memorial Day.
Well, this one will be released way after.
Whatever.
So we hope you had a great Memorial Day.
That part, whatever she just said.
Yeah. Hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend, and hope you remembered it's not just for barbecue, that it's Memorial Day for a reason. And yeah. So have a good one. Bye.